Good morning, everybody. We are about to start. We're going to give it a few more minutes to see more attendees coming in here. I hope everybody had a delightful holiday week last week. We're teeing up for holiday season. Again, if you guys are just joining us, we are hanging out here for a second. So if you guys have attended the last couple, or if this is new to you guys, obviously we want to welcome you to the Workforce Hub University series. We're going to be covering the Workforce Hub Plus product today. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the differences. I know we've got quite a few people on this call that are on various Swipe Clock products. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you guys are here to learn a little bit more about the product. So we'll dive in here in a second. But to make sure you guys are around, the system's working, I try to ask a question to get things rolling for the day. So my question to you guys to start this off is, what's your favorite winter or holiday activity? So is there something that you're excited about, either in the snow, or if you don't have snow, which I'm super jealous, maybe there's a holiday tradition that you're excited about coming up. If you guys would just put your answers in the chat and let me know that you're around. That would be great. Awesome. Still getting people in here. Family. Yes, of course. Yes, family is a great thing to look forward to all seasons, hopefully, not just the winter ones. So thank you, Stacy, for that. All right, we still have some more people coming in. Just gonna let it have one more minute. Again, my question to you guys to start was, do you guys have a favorite winter or holiday activity that you're looking forward to this season? Still have family. Great. Lots of family oriented. I love that. Awesome. Give this one more second here. Again, I just, we're kind of looking to kick this off. Again, welcome to the Workforce Hub University webinar series. My name is Holly Helt. We'll introduce the rest of this awesome team here in a second, but we're so happy you joined us today. I know there's a lot of attendees on a lot of, not getting sound. I think
can hear
others
you on my end, Holly.
Yeah, I think others are hearing us, Carissa. Maybe check some other sound settings. Lauren, can you maybe type that back if she's not hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Awesome. Let's kind of jump in here. Again, my name is Holly Helt. I'm here to help you guys along with this Workforce Hub University webinar series today. I know a lot of you guys are on different variations of our Swipe Clock products, and I think it's amazing that you guys are here learning about kind of our next generation of products. So we're going to be covering the Workforce Hub Plus product today. That's kind of the whole gamut of what our offerings can do for you, and then again, how we can get you to that point on whatever product you're on today. So we can hop right in and we will get more people rolling. So Travis, if you want to go, oh, I am on the next slide here. All right, so quick introductions. Again, my name is Holly Helt. I'm the director here of customer success. So I am here to help you guys make sure you're succeeding and understanding all there is to know about Swipe Clock and its products. So I'll have Travis and Lauren hop in as well.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm Travis Richens. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Swipe Clock for a few years now, and yeah, happy to be on the webinar today. I think they've been a success so far this year, and excited to see some questions at the end here.
And I'm Lauren DeSimone, and I'm the marketing director. And we're excited to have you guys all here today and learn a little bit more about Workforce Hub.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Okay, so some of you guys are probably not familiar with this next generation line. So I just wanted to take a second and kind of talk about some of the variations of the product. Now, I know some of you are on the full-fledged applicant stack product, which is just our standalone applicant tracking. Some of you guys are on our older time product, which is TimeWorks Plus, but this is kind of where we're going to. So we've got a very basic package of just basic time, just some basic onboarding that's called our Essentials product, kind of has just the nuts and bolts that you might need to get going. The advanced product is our kind of apples to apples of what our our TimeWorks Plus, our time product is if you're using some of that legacy product. So that's kind of our middle ground. So that's going to have all of the timekeeping capabilities as our old products. Same for scheduling. We're making some nice enhancements there. Geofencing is included in that product. So that's kind of our middle ground that fits a lot of business needs for various reasons. And then the Plus product, which we're going to cover today, and which we really do the whole series around because it has all of the components. This is kind of the everything that you're going to need. You're going to need applicant tracking and onboarding, benefits, that same kind of time and scheduling components, and some of those HR functionality like your employee engagement and document storage, onboarding, some of those components as well to help you kind of carry that new employee from, potentially being hired all the way to punching in and out. So Travis is going to cover a lot of what this product will cover today and some of the benefits that you're going to see as we go forward. So let's hop in and go through our agenda. So obviously today we're going to cover getting the most out of the Workforce Hub Plus product. So this is kind of that whole overview of what this product can do. The next webinar, we are going to be focusing on our applicant tracking. So there's an applicant tracking component to this Plus product, and every so many webinar series, we dive into specifics. So we're going to dive into the recruiting. So if that's something you guys have an interest in, if it's something that maybe you'd like to toy around with that for 2024 or build that into your process, that's going to be a great webinar to attend on all the tools and resources of using an ATS or an applicant tracking system. And that's already built into the product. So you're not paying more, you're not having to go to multiple places. Everything can be managed in one spot. So plenty of different benefits to attending that particular webinar. So some of the highlighted points today that Travis will be covering within the Workforce Hub Plus product is kind of staying compliant on the onboarding checklist, how to automate some of those timekeepings to really help your day-to-day, how we use our scheduling to help manage overtime, and some of the other uses of having a scheduler tied to what you're doing currently with time. And then lastly, and sometimes most importantly for people, is really reviewing that pay period and making sure all of that data is correct. How do we get that properly to payroll, and doing that successfully and obviously efficiently as well. So he's going to talk about the product as a whole, but we do want to focus on some of those components. And then we will definitely wrap up with some Q&A. So if you guys have questions throughout, please use the chat. We are happy to answer those. We're happy to get on additional phone calls and emails with you after if it's not something we can answer right today. All right, now we're going to kick it off with Travis. If you want to take the screen and start our webinar.
Yep. Let's see. Grab the screen here. All right. I think it's showing now. Does everybody see that, Holly?
Yes.
All right. Cool. So yeah, welcome everyone. Like Holly said, excited to be here. And for those people that have been to our webinars in the past, this is really an overview of the past webinars that we've had over the last 4 or 5 months. So stick around though. If you have questions at the end, we'll definitely jump into those. If you have questions along the way, we'll be monitoring the chat channel as well. So, but yeah, as Holly mentioned, for those that are here and are on the applicant stack product, or even maybe in TWP TimeWorks Plus, WorkforceHub is our newest product. It's been out for a few years now, and really it's a great all-in-one solution. And so we understand that there may be some small businesses on the call that you're kind of piecing together your day-to-day, whether it's a time tracking app, or maybe you just need applicant tracking. WorkforceHub was built specifically as an all-in-one for small businesses. So it includes things such as applicant tracking. It includes time and attendance tracking. You can do your PTO policies. You're mandated if you're in states that have sick time compliance, things like that. Then we can do that with WorkforceHub. So one thing we really wanted to make WorkforceHub into was specifically for small business, like I said. So we wanted to look at the market and see where we fit in price-wise and feature-wise. So with the all-in-one solution with WorkforceHub, we feel like we're very competitive here with the product. And so you do get everything, like Holly mentioned, in those packages, and those can be seen on the website as well. Also, we wanted to make it kind of growth-friendly. If you're a small business and you just starting out and you need timekeeping, we wanted to make sure that you could get into our product and you could grow with it. And so we really put it in a way that allows you to jump in with essentials and use the features there, whether it be timekeeping, kind of basic accruals. And then as your company grows, you can move more into advanced or plus. You can add in those specific features such as applicant tracking, onboarding, more advanced accruals, more advanced PTO policies, and then of course scheduling. So yeah, the obvious, everything's in one place. It makes it easier for small businesses. So us here at Swipe Clock come from small business backgrounds, so we understand the pains of that, and having a all-in-one solution is something I think everybody agrees with and they want. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into WorkforceHub. See that I got it pulled up here on the screen. We've got Plus here loaded, and so this is the highest product tier that we offer. And right as you get in, you can see this is the dashboard. For those that are familiar with it, such as the web clock, employee documents, then we have some applicant tracking items down here. To start out, I want to show you how the Essentials package would work currently with maybe onboarding an employee. And so if you hire a new employee, there's a couple ways to add them into WorkforceHub. We do recommend you go through the HR tab and you go through the new hire section. For this specific webinar, I'm not going to go through the whole process of onboarding the employee, but I do want to make it known that you can do this quite easily. You have a couple ways to add a new hire. You can also manage those new hire documents. And so, for example, if you had a company handbook you wanted somebody to sign, or a release form, tool rental, anything like that, you can add that here. And so when the employee onboards, they can see that all online. Once it's completed by the employee, of course, that stays in the system for the employee and yourself. You don't have loose papers or a filing cabinet to worry about. It's all digital and here online. So if we want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and click on Joe, and I can show you, I have not completed this. And so what happens for you as a manager or a business owner when you hire a new employee, you can include as many steps as you'd like here. Some here are clearly very important. You got the I-9, the W-4. Those documents are all updated automatically for you. So you're guaranteed the most up-to-date and current documents. So when you are adding a new employee, everything's there and you can have confidence in those forms. Other things, you can have emergency contacts, questionnaire, training, things like that. So really up to you on how to set these up. If you have questions about that, please let us know. We did a past webinar on it, really more in depth than we will today. But if you'd like to talk more in depth on that, so you can reach out. As we go back to the dashboard though, adding a new employee, you can see as we do that, you have the employee information, you got documents, you got the questionnaire, and then finish. So here, as you would expect, really putting in that new hire information, employee information, and a welcome message. As we move on though, you're gonna have the documents option. So like I just mentioned, if you got an employee handbook, something like that, that you would like to have the employee see and verify that they've looked at it, then you can add that into that section. Once this is done, we go back here to the HR tab, I click on new hires. You can see that this bar is yellow. So really, we're waiting on the employee to do this. And so we would enter all that employee information from the start, and then we would send it over to the employee to finish. And so everything's done online. There's nothing that you would have to print out. Everything in here it can be completed in the system. Once the employee gets the onboarding process done, that status line will turn green. And of course, at that point, the employee will be in the system. You can verify that, add them to the system, and they can start punching and being tracked for sick policies or paid time off policies. So yeah, I think that's kind of the first part in this with the onboarding. And this feature currently is available in all packages. So with the Essentials, or actually it's available in Essentials and Plus. So if you are looking to upgrade or needing this feature, and maybe you're currently on Advanced, the best route for you would be Plus at that point. So, all right. So let's assume that the employees are added in at this point. Once that employee has finished their process, you can go directly into the People tab, and you can see that the employee will be automatically loaded in here for you. At this point, we're just going to click on an employee. You can see some of that data that's brought in. I've just done a standard import for a lot of these employees. But you can see that you can edit these. So if the employee had a mobile phone or need anything else, like a birth date or even a home location from onboarding, it would populate here as well for you. Other tabs include the employment tab, things like the employee code. So if you are exporting a report from our system to go into payroll, or if you're using one of our integrations such as Gusto, that employee code is important for those integrations. Then you have things such as your original hire date. There's also a termination date. If you rehired an employee, we keep track of that for you as well. We also have items such as benefits, if that employee is exempt. And then we also have job title, employee type. So this would be like a full-time or a part-time field that you can enter in. And then you can also put in the hours per week and then the status of that employee. The status section is great. We recently added that mainly because of seasonal employees. And so, for example, if you hired some employees during the summer and you wanted to keep them in the system, you wanted to have them active so they could log into their account, maybe get out their documents for taxes at the end of the year, you could set them to inactive, meaning you're not billed for them and they have limited access to get in and get their reports out for tax purposes. We did talk about this one a little bit in our last webinar, which was the organization, how to set up org charts. And so these items here in the drop down, those are all set up in the admin tab. And so if you wanted to utilize this to organize your company based off of departments, positions, and managers, this portion is specifically helpful for the scheduler, which we'll get into here in a minute. And then lastly, we have the compensation. So if you wanted to put an employee pay rate in here, you could do that as well. And then we have the contact section. So on that onboarding portion, there is an option to enter in an emergency contact. If that is entered out, or if that's something you want for your employees to do, that would be also imported as that onboarding process is completed. And we have notifications, a lot of notifications specifically for managers and then for the employees. So by default, these are all turned on when an employee gets imported into the system or added into the system. The employee has the ability to come in and turn these off when they log in themselves. We also have the ability to turn them on or off for specific employees as well. So some of these things include, you can get, as a manager, you can receive an email or a push notification if you have the mobile app installed on your mobile device. You can get a notification based on time off requests. If you've set up geofencing and one of your employees punches in or out outside of that geofence, you'll get a notification of that. And then what I think is really beneficial is that late to schedule shift. And so if you're using the scheduler, which we'll get into here in a minute, if you're using that and maybe somebody has a schedule to start at 8 a.m. and they clock in at 8:30, you'd be notified of that. And it would also show on the time card that they deviated from that schedule as well. So The employee notifications, same sort of thing here, time off requests. They get a notification when their schedule has been published or if it's modified, so they'll know right away. Open shift, so if your company utilizes open shifts, then they'd be notified through email or push. And then of course, if they forgot to clock in, which we added recently as well, great feature there. And this all works off of that schedule. And so if you're not utilizing the schedule, we talked about it pretty extensively last webinar, but and we understand that some small companies are like, I don't need a schedule. Everybody comes in at 8, works till 5. It's the same thing every day. However, there is some benefits in our system of using that schedule. And one of those things is forgot to clock in. So just like the example I used before, 8 o'clock, employee just completely forgets to clock in. You can set the buffer. So if that's about 15 minutes, the employee can get a notification, hey, you've not punched in. They can remind them to do that. I think that buffer goes down to 5 minutes as well. If you're utilizing our system to upload check stub documents, that can be also set up as a notification. And then the last two here are benefit enrollments and then the year-end document. Now, we've had a question. I just recently had a customer reach out, and they're getting ready for end of year and wrapping that up. And they're a seasonal company, and they wanted to know if those people that we're set to inactive, meaning they're not being billed, but they still have access to the system, will they too receive a notification when those year-end documents are available for them? And the answer is yes for that. So as long as they're not deactivated completely, if they're just inactive, they will receive notifications if those checkboxes are checked for the employee. The last two, settings, this timekeeping additional items. These home fields are just additional fields. We use these for custom scripting, use them for custom overtime rules. There are some states, California, Minnesota coming up, that have really specific compliance rules or laws around sick time and giving sick time to employees. So we use those fields specifically to script or to customize code for your individual needs. This also works really well if you're a small business and have maybe a unique paid time off policy. We use those fields to make sure we can code those specific policies to your needs. And then the last part here is just timekeeping settings. We have, and I'll get into this here in a minute, we have ways that your employees can clock in. And so the clock number, if you have one of our physical clocks, it's really customizable, and you can have certain employees loaded on certain physical clocks if that's what you need. If you don't want to include employees in a time export, maybe you want to use the system for your salary and hourly employees. And for the salary employees, you just want to use the system for maybe time off requests and managing time off balances. You can do that, and you can make sure this box is clicked for those employees, so the salary employees would not show up in that payroll report when you run. The last is the web clock enabled. So there is a global feature in the admin section that needs to be turned on for this. And then you could turn this on for every individual employee. So you could really nail this down to say, hey, I only want these specific employees using the web clock through the online portal. Maybe I want to enforce a schedule. This is really important as well. Another advantage of using the schedule, even if you do have a simple 8 to 5 kind of shift for all employees, maybe you want to manage overtime there with that. You can turn on enforce schedule, meaning if they're scheduled to start at 8, they would not be able to clock in prior to that. You can also set a buffer for that as well. And we have the max weekly hours alert. This just sends out an alert based on the number of hours you put in there. So if you have part-time hours, maybe 20, 30, 40 hours, put that in there and you would receive an alert based on that as well. And then the last 3 here are 4, mobile punch enabled. This allows them to use the mobile app. So when they download it, they can use it to clock in and out. You do not have to have that set for them to download it and say submit a time request or see their time card or see their schedule. That check is specifically allowing that employee to punch in and out using the mobile app. The next is, do you want to track where that mobile punch is being taken? So that feature specifically, if that's turned on, let's say that I punch in at home you're going to be able to see that as a manager where that specific punch took place. It's not a tracking app. We're not in the business of tracking an employee or where they're at during the day. I know the trucking companies really want that for specific purposes. We are only tracking where that punch has taken place, either in or out. And then the geofencing. This is allowing you to set up a geofence, and then if somebody punches in or outside of that, then you'd be given a notification. The last accrual bucket, that's really for us, and it ties in with the home fields as well for custom scripting and coding. So
Hey,
the
Travis.
last one, roles. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to pop in for a second. So for those people who are on TimeWorks Plus, geofencing would be an additional fee. In the WorkforceHub Advanced series and the WorkforceHub Plus, both of those are geofencing is automatically included. So if that's something you want to entertain, but maybe didn't want to pay for it in the past, I just wanted to call out that that's not an additional charge in this product line. It is automatically included.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks, Holly. Perfect. And then the roles, you can see that we have a manager role and employee role. You can also add additional roles based on the package that you have. So we're in Plus. You can add a company admin, onboarding admin, benefit scheduler, and applicant tracking. And so all these roles are available. Say that you have somebody you just want to have access to the scheduler, but not necessarily a supervisor or a manager of any means like that. You just want them to manage that schedule. You can give them rights or that role specifically to that employee. So, all right, now that we've gone through the employee, you can see from the onboarding, the employee fields that are available and how to customize those. I want to go back to the dashboard and show you, we talked a little bit about the web clock, physical clocks, and then we talked about the mobile app. And so the web clock is online. It can be gated by IP address. And so if you want your employees just to use this web clock at, say, home, maybe their home IP or maybe at a work IP, you can limit that to just those IP addresses, or you can keep it open. They can use it wherever they want. This is a URL-based web clock, so they could also use this on a tablet if they wanted. But web clock, I've enabled all the features here. You can see that most of these other boxes are all grayed out. And that's what we call punch logic. We're just trying to make it as easy for you as possible and easy for the employee to stay on track. We've all probably experienced somebody forgetting a punch, or maybe if you used other products in the past, if it allows you to make duplicate punches. We are really trying to prevent that, save you time, make it easier for the employees. So you can see as we clock in, we do have a clock prompt. I have one in place just for this example. You don't have to utilize these at all. But let's say that you're tracking specific, maybe you have 3 locations that you're managing or you want the employee to work at. And that's for your purposes, for payroll purposes, whatever it may be. You can go ahead and choose a location. That can be all customized by you. You can finish the punch and you can see that we're clocked in. At this point, we have other options such as clock out. So if they're done for the day, you can start a break, you can end a break, or you can transfer. The transfer is, let's say that you have, I don't know, about a month ago, I had a company where they repaired desk or office furniture. And so the employee would move from location to location, and they were billed per hour at location. And so rather than just clocking in and then clocking out and then clocking back in and choosing from that list of the drop down for their job, we enable transfer for them. And so very easy for him to be done at job 1, hit transfer, and then he can say, I'm going to the Bay Area next. And all that's done here. You can see that we're still clocked in. If we go to the time card for mark on the day, let's go down here. You can see that we have an in punch. We transferred. We went from downtown, and it just made that in and out punch automatically, and we're at the Bay Area now. So other things such as breaks and meals. Go ahead, Ollie.
Sorry, can I give two other examples that might be applicable for clock out reasons? So the clock prompts, and again, we won't get into the weeds too much, but you also can add in things that are numerical. So if you're tracking mileage or tips, if you're in the restaurant industry or hospitality, those things can also be added and pushed over to payroll. So it's not necessarily something that has to be alphabetical. It also can be numeric in value, and again, be applied to your payroll as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep, they're all alphanumeric, and so tips is a huge one we see a lot. And you can have those clock prompts on both the in and the out, or just the in and just the out. So clock prompts, you can see here, I don't have any clock prompt on the clock out, but yeah, good point, Holly. Those are alphanumeric fields that can be added in. Now with the web clock, you can see that this can all happen online. We do have the mobile app, and we have the let's see if my keyboard will connect here. We also have on our website, we have other punching options. So you can see here we have the web clock that we just talked about. We also have physical clocks, and these come in several different forms. We have the ability, or we have a touch clock, which is a fingerprint card type of clock. And so if you want to use, or you're in a location or in an industry that you need biometrics, we have a clock for that. We also have a Vision and Vision Plus. So these are biometric clocks as well, but it is a facial recognition clock, similar to if you have a newer phone, how you get into that phone, these clocks would do the same. So we have several different physical clocks, and then we also have the mobile app. These clocks, there are costs to them. If you're interested in a physical clock, you can reach out to myself or Holly if you have any questions there. The last option is the mobile app. This is a completely free app as well. And so we have a page dedicated to some of the things that it can do here. And if you're on a free trial, or if you're in the product already, you can go and just download that mobile app. It's on both Apple and Android. So it's called TWE, or TimeWorks Employee is the app name. So nice thing about all those solutions, whether it be a physical clock, a web clock, or mobile time clock, what's nice is you can do this on any device and it looks all the same. So you can see that on the desktop, on the web clock that we already just had, you can see that the image is the same as what you see on the mobile time clock. And then the image is also the same, the experience is the same on those physical clocks. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for the employee to go from one clock to another if needs be. All right, and then to wrap things up, we did talk about scheduling a little bit, so I want to dive in and show you what scheduling is all about. Like I said, we do have an in-depth webinar on the scheduler. So I'm briefly just going to touch base on how easy it is to set up those schedules, what's included here. You can see that I am logged in as a manager, so Mark Owens. I also have a My Schedule view, so you can see that if you're in Workforce Hub already, this is very, it shouldn't be new. All the employees would be able to see this. It tracks a schedule if one's inputted. It also schedules your time off requests. You can see that per employee. Managing schedules, though, very simple. You can see that I've already kind of worked out a schedule for today. There's several ways that you can add to the schedule. You can simply just click in a box. You can add a start and end time here. So if I go 8 a.m., maybe lunch work till 6 p.m., and then lunch is 60 minutes. You can choose a color as well. Say we choose red here. And then a couple things you could do. You could set up a repeating schedule. So for example, if you have the same schedule that people are going to work throughout the rest of the year, they don't change, but you want to track things such as when they're punching in, help you eliminate overtime by putting in a clock restriction based off of the schedule, and then get notifications if somebody's deviated from that schedule. You can just run this out for every week and choose the dates that it follows on, its start and end date. However, if you just want to do it for a single day or multiple days in the week, you can do that. We hit save here, see that it adds the day right away. Now to manage these, we have other options as well. You can see that we can copy it by clicking the copy function. Then you can just paste that wherever you'd like. Copy and paste. You can also copy a whole line. So this is all added in by a template. Templates here, you can create as many as you need, and adding those templates is simply going to say, click on morning B, you can see that it loads up there, and then you would choose the dates that you want to apply that template. You can hit save. All right, so we kind of talked about just adding them in there. You can see that we can copy the whole week. You can add that to another employee. So copy and paste, we have templates. We then have copy the whole schedule. You can move it to the next week if you want. So if you wanted to work here and add a schedule, you come here and that copy that I already had will paste to the next week. So if you have a schedule that you need to update or change on a rolling rotation, you can put those in and then manage that just through the templates or the copy and paste feature of going every other week. The view methods, you can see that we're currently loaded in by week, and that is by default. Up here, you can also see that you can go by day, and then you have the ability of 2 weeks. We did get some feedback last webinar to offer a monthly schedule view. So it is something we talked to product about, and so we're hoping that that's available early next year as an option. So. Holly, is there anything else that you want to talk about the schedule before I jump over to the end of the payroll review?
I think there's just a few things I'd like to know is, one, you'll see the totaled hours on the side. So if you're trying to maintain a certain hour set for that staff member, you can see that called out, which is nice. And then kind of going back to when Travis was talking about the roles or the access that we give people to see the system. I'm going to compare this to TimeWorks Plus here for a second, for those of you who are on there. There's no additional login, so everything's in one spot. So if you see this kind of middle top bar here where you see My Schedule, Manage Schedules, and then Shift Swaps, you can see all of that in one spot. So everybody's kind of an employee in some sense within the system. So now you can see kind of the things that apply to you as an individual, your schedule, your time off, your time card, along with those people that you manage. So everything again is kind of in that one spot. So Travis can kind of show you if he's got My Schedules populated. But then the last thing to note that this schedule also has shift swaps available. So if you allow your staff to pick up open shifts or drop things or swap between people, that is also included within this scheduler.
Yeah, let me show that. I like that, the My Schedule part. So you can see right now, I want to point out what she's saying is once we load these in, you can kind of see how they are a lighter color. And, oh, come on. Load back in here. So yeah, here you can see, we go to My Schedule, nothing shows there. It's only going to show the schedules based off of if the schedules were posted or not. And so in this case here, like Holly was saying, Mark Owens is a company admin, also an employee. And so you're going to see their schedule and you're going to be able to manage all the other employees' schedule. So if I go ahead and post, this is going to send out a notification to the employees that are scheduled for. And then all those people that got the notification, either they're on the mobile app or they're online, can go to My Schedule and they can see that schedule available to them. So hit the hamburger menu here. You can see that there's shift details, if any was put in, if there were notes, things like that to do this. And they could also drop that shift. So if they don't want to work that or they can't work that, or you have a company policy that allows them to do that, you can say, all right, I'm going to confirm the drop. You can send a comment if needed. And then under the shift swap option, you can see that number one, there's an option for you as an admin to review the employees that requested to pick up that shift. And so all the employees that are not working that day will get a notification as well and saying, hey, there is an open shift. If you would like it, you can request it. And we treat those currently just like time off requests. So people can request that shift. It's up to you as an admin or a manager to come in and manage those requests and then assign that new shift to a specific employee. So
Yeah, the last comment I'll kind of make on some of the viewpoints between you as an individual, as an employee versus a manager, is really that the communication is also done in that same method. So you don't have to track them down about, hey, you know, I'm approving your time off, or I'm approving that schedule, or, you know, help me approve your time card. All of those things are tracked within the system as well. So that really does eliminate some of the back and forth or trying to track down and text people. And again, some of those items can be reported on as well, depending on, you know, what area we're looking at. So I just wanted to call that out as well.
Right. Okay, well, cool. The last item then we'll touch on before we jump to questions is the payroll review. So those that are coming from TWP, this is something new in Workforce Hub, and we have a few bits of this in TimeWorks Plus. However, this specifically walks you through all the steps in order to finalize the pay period, and then it gets you to a step where you can run a report for payroll. If you have integrated payroll with us through, say, Gusto, it will direct you at the end of these 5 steps or so to jump over to Gusto and finish that payroll over there. But for this purpose, I'll kind of walk you through what you're going to see here. You can see the payroll review. You can choose the pay periods. We then go next step, and you can see that it's looking for any pending time off requests. If there is any, they would show up here. And so you're either trying to close those out, make sure you don't close a pay period with somebody that requested time off that you forgot to approve, really managing those time off requests. The next is something very specific that we see a lot in TimeWorks Plus is just missing punches. This will look at all the time cards and look at all the punches of the employees and determine if there is a missing punch out there. At that point, you can make a correction right from this page. You don't have to go out and go to the time card. Everything can be done from this specific page here. Next, for the time card review, it's going to just reviewing each time card. You can see as I click on the name of the employee, it shows that time card right in the review process. You don't have to go out like you do in TWP to look at those time cards or make corrections. Everything can be done right in the review process. You can also go ahead and approve time cards if you need to through this. You can also approve time cards one by one in the time card view. And then the next is finalizing. This allows you to go ahead and click. You can finalize that pay period. What finalizing does, for those not familiar with it in our system, it really locks down the time cards so that they can't be edited at that time. They're locked in, they're ready. We don't want to mess anything up at that point. We're running payroll, want to make sure that no changes can be made to those time cards. So question that comes up quite a lot is, oh, I finalized, how do I unfinalize? That can be done as well. You'd have to go through the admin to do that, and company admin roles would be the people that would be able to do that. So, all right, we'll go ahead and hit save. You can see that finalizing pay period, it gives you the steps. If you can unfinalize, you got the admin, payroll, and then finalize. Go ahead and hit confirm. We have finalized that pay period. Next, we then have the export time card data. So as I mentioned, you can go ahead and click export. You can get the punch details, the summary total. For those in TWP, if you're using the file format sum3, the summary totals is a very similar report. And all punch details is the detail report in TimeWorks Plus. So you can export each of those, or if you have a integration and it's set up, you can click here and would link to, say, Gusto, for example. That's it. That is the payroll review. That's really all I had today as far as giving a big overview specific to those people that are on TWP. If you're looking to make the move, Holly's the person to talk to. If anybody else has any questions, we'll take them now, or you can either email myself or Holly. So I don't know if we have any questions. Holly, do you?
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up with a few comments, and then I do have a couple questions that are starting to flow in. So feel free after to kind of throw those in as we get going. So obviously this is a very large product. We couldn't cover everything today, but I want to call out a few things that we really didn't get to, but maybe you've got questions on, or you're seeing this and you're like, what does that do? So we do have an employee engagement section, which allows you to collect feedback or suggestions from employees. So again, we really want to encompass all of those aspects from that employee, from getting their documents to punching, and also some of that feedback. Also kind of in that same tone, we do have workflows that are available in that HR tab. So this allows you to have performance reviews or collect additional information, or maybe you're signing off on a new handbook. So very helpful from an HR perspective. So we've got some workflow options there. We didn't really get to cover this, but also within the time category is also the time off. So variations, and Travis kind of alluded to kind of that flexibility to align with your payroll policy, or your time off policies, whether that's a specific type or that's dependent on the type of employee they are. All of those policies we can handle within the system. Next time, if you guys are back on the next webinar, we're going to be covering the recruiting aspect. So for those people who are on Applicant Stack, if you're joining us, the Applicant Stack Recruit is the same applicant tracking that's within this product. So if you're familiar with the recruiting process within that product, this is the identical one. The only thing would be different would be if you're using that onboarding within applicant tracking, it would be this onboarding version instead. So we will be covering recruiting and really how to post that job, gain candidates in multiple places, managing again in one spot. And then how do we get them all the way over to a punching employee so we can take care of all of those things from, that infancy of that employee. And then just kind of like we were talking about in a lot of different areas, there's a lot of room to customize. We want to make sure that you have the room to align your workflows and your documents that are attached. So if there's something in here that you feel like you saw that you were enjoying, please let me know, and I'm happy to get you a personalized demo, and we'll go through in depth about a few more of these areas that might be pertinent for you, or just reach out and ask if that's available. I'm happy to cover that as well. Okay, so that's my spiel about kind of wrapping up what we saw today from Travis versus kind of some of the other components that we just didn't quite get to, but let's hop into some of your questions. So Seth had asked, what drives the GPS? So if you think about the GPS, and I don't know if you have any geofences set up in this environment, but essentially think about them as Google Maps. So if you're putting in a home address or your work location, you're gonna type that in, this address, and then you're gonna put a radius around it. So is it, 23 feet away? Is it a mile? Depending on if you're a large campus. So you're gonna set that, again, kind of similar to a Google Maps, and then, we'll assign people to that fence. So hopefully that answers the question on what drives it, but everything's kind of centralized around Google Maps.
Yeah, and I think to add to that too, just to clarify, it may, I mean, it is based off the phone too. So I mean, GPS, correct, it is 100% based off of that employee's phone. So just like, lost your phone feature for Android and Apple, we look at that and we use a service to determine, this is, so you do have to have GPS location turned on if you have employees that are Apple users. There's a feature for that you have to specifically turn on for each application. And then on Android, it's very similar as well, where you get permissions for our app to collect that GPS data, and then that's reflected on the time card.
Great, thank you for that clarification. And to Travis's point earlier, we're only, pinging that location of their phone when they're actually clocking in. So again, we're not tracking them throughout the day. Those things are not labeled on their time card. It's really, truly when they're using that particular system.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Are you able to adjust the hour format from 2 decimals to a 4 place?
Are they, I guess a clarifying question there, is that for reporting purposes, or you want to see that actually on the time card? For reporting purposes, yes. For the time card view, no.
Great question.
We do track it, is what I'm saying, when that punch actually takes place, but online we're only showing it 2 decimal places where we could show it differently in a report.
Okay. And to kind of piggyback on that too, or some variation of that, we do have other, I would say, ways of showing time. So if you don't want to see the decimals, if you want it to be to the minute, if you want to be to the closest 5 minutes, 15s. So you've got some options. Again, depending on what state you're in, you may want to look at some of those rules and regulations. But some of those manipulations of time cards may be an option for you as well. So just know that there's some other flexibility as far as how you're showing time or what you want to collect from employees specifically. Tina, can we set up workflows that occurs on an employee work anniversary? Yes. So there are you can set up workflows for pretty much anything, whether that's, I know you have the example of evaluations. You've got some that set up probably for performance reviews. Maybe it's a driver's license expiration. So really whatever you think that you may need for a workflow, that is definitely able, because everything's written out and customized by you. But then also in turn, those alerts that go along with it. So if you want someone to have that performance review on their anniversary date or close by, great, we can set an alert for that. You can set an alert for birthdays or any other, again, place in time that you need that workflow to be accomplished by. Anything to add on the either tasks or alerts that might be important to know, Travis?
Well, I don't think so. I think you nailed it. Yeah, it's in there. It's in your HR tab. If you're using Plus or Essentials, yeah, it's under Workflows and Tasks. You see just from my screenshot that we have a performance management. So you can send this out to all employees. You can see when they've completed it. They would be able to do that in the product itself or in the app, and you can have all of that here. So yeah, just like Holly mentioned, you can have it all here and you can configure it on the system. So.
Yeah, one thing that I really like about those workflows too, if you're looking at this from a large organization, let's just use the handbook example. You're rolling that out for 2024. You can kind of see who has completed it, how far have they gotten, what amount of what percentage of your workforce has reviewed this or signed off on it. So kind of similar to the color coding that we alluded to in the onboarding stage of how far have you completed this. The same rules apply when we're looking at those workflows too. So you can really look and report and manage kind of who you need to talk to on getting those things completed. That's all there for you in a visible sense. All right, wonderful. That looks to be wrapping up on questions. We'll just make any last calls here for that. Wonderful. Perfect. Quick reminder for everybody, we are not doing a webinar for December, just with the holidays, and I'm sure you guys are equally as busy in people's time off. We decided not to do a webinar for December, so our next one is actually in January. And with that said, we truly want to wish you guys a happy holidays from all of us here at Swipe Clock. If there's any questions you guys have, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that you understand the products you're currently using or maybe where to go from here. So if any questions pop up, please let us know. You can either contact us directly or you can always put in a support case and we'll make sure an account manager gets back to you and gets that question answered. So thank you guys very much again for your time today. I will put up this screen here for a second. So you guys can see this. There we go. All right, so again, the next webinar will be on exploring the recruiting. Again, that's the applicant stack for people who are using that product, that recruiting. January 24th is our next webinar, and you can feel free to register for that. If you don't attend, that's perfectly fine. You can always get a recording afterwards. So thank you guys very much. Have a lovely holiday season, and we will talk to you in the new year.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.